Let's talk about variables. Variables are a key component to any programming language, any programming situation. So a variable is very simple, and a variable is just a container. And that's the way I'm going to talk about variables. That's the way I want you to think about variables. Think of it like a bucket, and that bucket has a name on it. It's sort of like my Starbucks cup here, right? I got my Starbucks cup here. It's a container. Inside it is coffee, and it's got a little name here, has my name on it. So this is my Starbucks container. We have all kinds of containers in life, and a lot of times the name of the container tells us what's inside. Okay, what's inside is referred to as the value. So each container, each variable has both a name and a value. The value of a variable can change. You can't change the name of a variable, but you can change the value. I can take whatever's inside that container out, I can put something else in, or I can add to it. A variable in Python is technically an object or class in Python. That may not make sense to you now. It will later just sort of park it in the back of your brain until we need that information. There are rules for naming variables in Python. If you violate these rules, you'll either get an error or some other intended consequence in your programming code will happen. Okay, so it must start with a letter or an underscore. A variable cannot start with a number. A variable can contain only A through Z, uppercase and lowercase, 0 through 9, and underscore. And the last, probably the most important thing about variable names is that variable names are case sensitive. And what that means is that if I have, let me spin up a new file here. So if I have a variable called this, and I have another variable called this, those are not the same thing. What I've created are two variables. Now remember, when I take this, the way the computer sees it, this n is not the same as this n. In fact, it doesn't make any connection between those two things. Python doesn't even understand the concept of the alphabet. So it doesn't understand that those are the same letter, just uppercase and lowercase. It doesn't get that. It just says that's one character and that's another character. So if I want to print out the value of my variable, I can put it inside the print function like this. Now, if I run this code, what's the output going to be? Correct. Yeah, it's going to say Bill. And then if I switch it to the lowercase one, it'll say Dave, right? So those are two different variables. And there's a cautionary note there. You probably don't want to do this to yourself where you have two variables that are that similar in your program, because you will confuse yourself and it will go badly for you. So those are the rules for naming variables.